productive player over the 3-year period. So played very well as a freshman, very productive against a lot of good people. 2020, COVID really affected everybody just in terms of games played and overall availability standpoint. And then 2021, I'd say from Derek's standpoint, it was a little bit stop and start. Really, he played 3 or 4 games there with the foot, and he wasn't even really healthy. So, it kind of speaks to his competitiveness and his toughness. And then, when he was able to get out there in the spring and actually test and show that he's at least making some progress, I'd say he definitely still has some work to do just in terms of being ready to go for camp. But, 6 foot, 190 pounds, good size, good length, runs well, plays the ball well for a defensive back. I think one of the things that you try to track and study as best you can, especially with corners, is their ability to play the football down the field when they're in phase or even if they're out of phase. I'd say some corners certainly play the ball better than others. It's a skill. Some guys are a little more natural than others. I'd say J.C. Jackson's a good example of a guy that's can play the ball really well. His production certainly speaks to that over the course of his career. So, played against a lot of good players, not only on campus at LSU, but throughout the SEC. Had a good visit with him, has a really good demeanor and presence about him. I'd say he's very quiet and soft-spoken. I think one of the things you guys will notice whenever you do get a chance to talk to him, he doesn't really say much. But you can't mistake that for, I would say, internal drive and competitive spirit and competitive stamina and toughness, and has a good understanding of the techniques that go along with playing the corner position. So when you factor everything in, we felt comfortable with the pick. I would say, from a health standpoint, that's always a question, where was he or where is he from a foot standpoint. So, I think in the end we felt comfortable with what the final diagnosis was going to be. I'd say he's certainly working through it here this spring. I think we'll probably, and I'd say not specific to Derek, but during the course of the spring, we'll have different players in different stages that, may or may not be available for practice. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. It just means that we're kind of working through our process, with those players. But the expectations those players will be ready for training camp.